Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller, and I've got my green on today, and that is in honor of St. Patrick's Day. So I'm pre-recording this the night before St. Patrick's Day, or actually St. Patrick's Day tomorrow or Saturday, I'm not sure. I actually don't remember, but I know that me and my husband are celebrating St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. And with St. Patrick's Day, everyone thinks of little leprechauns running around. You get your wishes granted if you capture a leprechaun, right? Like the end of the rainbow, there's a leprechaun, a pot of gold. You've heard all of the folklores, right? So it got me thinking, luck and being lucky is not just for the Irish, and it's not just for St. Patrick's Day. So you don't have to try and catch any leprechauns. I know growing up, I think there was a book that talked about catching leprechauns, and it was part of like my class or whatever, and I just remember, it's like a vague memory, it's kind of like a fever dream. You don't know if it happened, you don't know if it's real or not, maybe I just made it up, but I remember like putting together a leprechaun like capturing device, where we like set it up. It's really just bits of trash around the house, a straw here, a popsicle stick, whatever, and you would try to catch the leprechaun, so then he would grant you 3 wishes. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to be on your hands and knees looking around for a leprechaun. You can create your own luck. Now, I know everybody has heard of lucky girl syndrome, and you might be thinking, how can I also be a lucky girl? How can I start implementing those things so that I can experience being lucky, right? Because we always have those people that we aspire to be, that we look up to, and we're like, oh my gosh, like I wish I was them. Whether they are pretty or smart, or they just seem to always have this community around them. People like them, they ask for their opinion, and you just think to yourself, oh my gosh, how are they so lucky? You know, whenever there's an opportunity, they're always first up to be promoted or be nominated for something. And I remember when I was younger thinking, oh my gosh, like comparing myself to girls in my class or from a different school, like Instagram, all of those social media platforms were just starting. So it was very easy to see comparison on these social media apps, or even in class, in person, in the clubs, the sports, whatever I was in, right? And I would think to myself, how do they do it? How are they always looking so good all the time? How do they, get the perfect boyfriend? They have the nicest car, all of these things, right? And I got to thinking, is it just my perception that they're lucky, or are they actually lucky? Because it's all about brain awareness. We are only seeing, in that regard to that lucky girl, all of the cool, amazing things that she has, or him, whoever, but we don't see any of the trials, the tribulations, the things that they do that we don't see, that might not be as lucky, right? They might step in some poo going to school, right? Like we don't see that they were spraying it off with their hose before they went to school, or they might be having the really nice car, but we didn't see last week they got in a car accident and this is a rental car, right? Like we don't see any of the things that don't necessarily go good for them, and so we're just comparing to ourselves in our own life and all the bad things that are happening. We're like, oh my gosh, like when can I be as lucky, right? So it's all about perception and how we view things. But I also think that we can use this to an advantage, and we can also shift the perspective for ourselves. When you choose to focus on the good grows, right? And this is not some woo-woo stuff. It's literally like when you are focusing on the good things, you're crowding out the bad and negative thoughts in your brain, and you're filling it with good things, right? If you're more positive, then you're likely to cultivate more positive thoughts than to get on a spiral, right? Like This week, I honestly have been thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like this week will never end. Like I've just had one thing after another and I've been stressed. And I think I've cried 3 times this week at work. It's been crazy. But I was just thinking to myself, when I get home, am I still feeling bad for myself? Like, today was a horrible day at work. Or am I thinking, okay, like the workday is over. Now it's time to be lucky. Like I'm going to come home. I'm going to make the perfect meal. It's going to be so good. Or maybe it's not going to be good and I'm going to burn the shit out of it. And I'm going to have to go to DoorDash something or go to town and pick something up. Like that's also lucky because now I didn't have to, I cooked and it wasn't very good. But I can go to the store and get some food, right? Like that's still lucky. It's all about perspective. And so when things are happening to us, or it's like one negative thing after another, we can choose to think, like my life is just crappy, like this is just me. Or we can think, what is these situations or these things, where are they pointing me to? It's all about the perspective of when one door closes, like open a window, jump out. But you can think of, how is this situation redirecting me into something that is for me or that is going to set me up for another success or get me linked into those people who are going to help me in my next aspiration. Personally, I try to put it in perspective when I'm driving to work. And usually, and this happens to me every single time, I don't know how it happens. I'll be driving to work and it'll be the day that I'm running late, okay? Like I forgot to pack my lunch, my alarm, I pressed snooze way too many times. I couldn't find anything good to wear. One thing after another, right? Like it didn't get me out of the door when I needed to get out of the door. So I get in the car, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm running late and I'm like trying to drive fast. And then there's a slow person in front of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just need to swerve around them, like so then I can get to work on faster. Like I'm gonna be late. Are you kidding me? I'm like so annoyed. And then I remind myself, there's probably a reason that someone is going the speed limit today, right? Like if I always think the universe has my back, then it'll serve me, right? So I'm in the car and I'm like, I just want to pass them. And then I have to remind myself, I'm like, chill out. There's probably a police officer coming around the road and you want to be thankful that you're not speeding. And once you know it, a police car is usually, I would say like 4 times out of 7. I don't know how good those odds are, but 4 times out of 7, there's a police officer somewhere. And I'm like, I'm so glad that I wasn't speeding because this car has slowed me down a little bit. Like I'm not rushing, right? And it's all on shifting your perspective on whatever is happening to you, because they're really not happening to you. If you can think about, they're happening for me. What else is going to come my way? And sometimes you have to be delusional about this, all right? Like, I know that positivity is not always going to be the route, right? Like sometimes you just want to feel that emotion, whether it's anger or jealousy or sadness. Like it is totally fine to kind of marinate in that, right? Like marinate in it. You can be sad, you can be angry, you can be all those things, but it only becomes a problem when it's all the time, right? And I think that it's more fun to think of life in a more positive light, and I notice that more things come to me when I'm being positive. If you ever played the game of Slug Bug when you were a kid, or I think some people play like Yellow Car or something stupid like that. Not us. We played Slug Bug. So whenever a bug, what the heck are those cars even called? They look like a bug though. It's like a little rounded, I don't know what they're called. Anyways, Slug Bug. When we saw this specific type of vehicle, we got to punch our sibling, okay? And I have 4 other siblings in my household at that time. So we would punch the crap out of each other because, hey, we saw the car. It gives us like free reign to beat up on our siblings. Good, bad, whatever, I don't care. But when we had it in our brains, like, we're looking for these cars so that we can beat up on our sibling, we notice more cars, right? Or if you're focusing on a yellow car, okay, yellow car, yellow car, yellow car, and then you see a yellow car, it's making your brain aware of, hey, we need to pay attention to this thing. Hey, like, this is important to us. And it's kind of like unlocking this area in our life. If you meet a new person in your community or whatever, maybe it's your neighbor, and you're like, oh, like, I've never met you before, I've never seen you before, it's nice to meet you. And then all of a sudden you're seeing them all the time. You're like, oh my gosh, like, are they stalking me? Am I stalking them? If you live in a town or even a city, like, most people have routines, and you're going to see them often, right? You're going to see them often. But your brain is now aware. You now know that person, so you're going to see it more often. Same with positivity, and same with becoming a lucky girl. So to bring yourself more brain awareness, I have 2 little affirmations that I like to tell myself, and it's become a habit. Like, I've been pretty good at it now. Like, whenever something good happens, no matter how big, how small, I say, oh my gosh, I am so lucky. I'm the luckiest girl in the world. And I know this is like pretty common theme. Like, I've seen it on social media. I wanted to adopt it. I wanted to do it myself. So I literally say it automatically, like, I am so lucky. If a parking spot opens up, I'm so lucky. It doesn't matter if it's 7 rows down and I gotta walk a little bit, I am still gonna feel the same luckiness as if it was 1 spot closer to the door or 7 spots closer to the door, right? Like, I am so lucky, right? So I always say I'm so lucky, it always works out for me, and then it does, right? Even if it's not working out for me, it's still always working out for me, and you can do this too. And then the next one, the universe will always give me what I need, right? And you can swap out universe for God, or Mother Earth, whatever you want to say. I would say, hey, universe has got my back. There's lots and lots of books on this. You can read You're a Badass by Jen. You can read, there is so many books. I have it linked on one of the podcast episodes, but there's so many books that you can read about this. And there is one literally called The Universe Has Your Back. So if you just believe that you're lucky, I promise you, mindset is everything. It's just like the yellow cars. It is just like seeing that creepy neighbor all the time now for you don't know why. Another thing that I like to do to help me just really envision how lucky, hot, and successful I am, because back to the mentality of, oh my gosh, like, why is that girl so amazing in my class? Why is she always up for those promotions? Why is she always doing all these awesome, cool things? It's because our brain is now aware, like, she has something that I want, and I'm only going to focus on the good things that I want and not the bad things, right? Like, we could think that she is so beautiful and amazing, and smart and funny and all these things because we have awareness around those. So you can literally do it for yourself as well. You can look in the mirror and you can say, oh my gosh, how am I so hot, successful? Everything I touch turns into gold, literally leprechaun, and so you can literally envision, talk to yourself in the mirror, give yourself affirmations, just like you would be that girl in your class or that peer at work that you aspire to be like, who's always up for the promotions, always doing the thing, always awesome and amazing. Shift the focus and start telling yourself that, right? The same way that you build up a friend, you should be building yourself up as well, right? Like, tell yourself that you are awesome and amazing. Your brain will get it, okay? At first it's gonna seem silly, right? Like, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, you have all this self-doubt and that freaking voice in your head that says, oh, you're not smart, you're not funny, you're not like so-and-so, you can't do this, you can't do that. Oh my gosh, overcrowd them, okay? And start saying nice things to yourself. And then you can really shift your mindset into thinking that you are the luckiest person in the world. So you do not need leprechauns. You do not need St. Patrick's Day. You do not need to win the lottery or get the next promotion or lose 15 pounds or do any of the things, the limitations that we put on ourselves all the time. Like, we have to do something to be worthy of it, because you're already worthy of it. You are already exactly where you are supposed to be. So you just need to shift your mindset and your perspective and know that you're already lucky exactly how you are. So thank you so much for listening, and until next time, bye!